Hey guys, it's Monica at Academic Phoenix Plus, and welcome to a very special tutorial. We are going to be using several software to create an AR business card. So we are going to be using Photoshop to create our business card, After Effects to create the animation, and we're also going to be using ZapWorks, which is an AR app, to create an interactive business card. So we got a lot to cover, so let's get started. The first thing you need to have is a business card. So as you can see, I created this business card. It's very simple. I don't have the back for it yet, but you can only scan the front. So that's where I'm at right now. So here's the business card. Now, I already have little ZapWorks icon, which we'll cover later, but we're going to go ahead and start with this basic business card. So when you are going to be working in ZapWorks, you need to make sure that your business card, it has to have a source image. So the source image is going to be the front of the business card. So the theory is that I hand this business card to somebody, and if they scan it, they will get an animation. Right now I have all of the layers here, but I also have a JPEG already prepared. But just in case, let's go to File, Save As, and I'm going to call this my business card, and it's going to be a JPEG, and then you save. I usually like maximum quality, so click OK. Let's go ahead and jump into ZapWorks. When you are in ZapWorks, you need to click on Create a New Project and go ahead and call it something. For example, I'm going to call it my Academic Phoenix Plus business card. And there's three options. I'm going to be choosing is designer, and then click on next step. The next thing is I'm going to choose a zap code to choose a trigger. So every project needs to have some sort of trigger, and I'm going to be using a zap code because it's going to produce an O, and that blends a little bit better on my business card than, for example, a QR. So I'm going to click on zap code and then click on create project. Now here is our trigger, but what I'm going to do is go ahead and click on Open Designer. And it's going to take me through a step-by-step process on getting this to work. Here's a nice little video that you can watch if you like, but I'm going to go ahead and download my zap code. Now in here you can change the look of your zap code, but I'm not really interested in that. I'm okay with just a regular circle, but if you're interested, you can change it to a different color, things like that. So we can take a look at newest, we can take a look at all. I'm okay with this one, the selected, and I'm just waiting for this to generate. While it's doing that, it says the first step is to download your zap code so you can add it to your tracking image. It helps to include a call to action with your zap code. Some instructions that help your user download Zapar and get zapping straight away. Choose a design below to download the image on the right, and then head on to the next step. So for example, there's a couple of options that you want. So for example, get Zapar, and then you can have this little city. Some people like to maybe grab this one. Again, I'm okay with what I have so far, but if you're interested, there's a couple of options. But if you wanted to, you can click on any of these to get them going. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click on continue. I'm not really sure why it's taking so long, but that's not a problem. I can just go ahead and click on continue, and I'm just going to click away so that I get to the main ZapWorks area. So over here we have an upload a tracking image. I'm going to download this, and this is the area where you can change the color. So if you're interested, you can change the color to whatever you'd like. And I'm okay with black, so I'm going to go ahead and click on download. I'm going to go ahead and save it, and I'm going to bring it into Photoshop. All right, here is my zap code. I'm going to go ahead and make it smaller. And again, I'd like to try to integrate it into my business card so that I can see it just fine. And hopefully it will blend in. Again, I could have chosen a color to go with it, but I kind of like it. Kind of blends in with this and it makes it look fancy. So I'm going to keep it like this. And I am going to, of course, save as. And then let's save as again. And this time it's going to be my JPEG. So I'm going to go over here. This is my business, and this is going to be my source image. Great. Let's go back into the designer. I'm going to just go back. And I can upload my tracking image here. Let's see, I'm going to continue, and then I'm going to upload. Here's my source image. I'm going to go ahead and upload it. It's going to scan it and take a look at it and analyze it to see if it's in good condition. Is the quality high enough? Will the zap code be read correctly? So according to this, it says that there's good contrast and detail, and it's got the correct zap code. So thank goodness for that. You'll notice the green areas say that you can see these clearly, which is great. There are some poor areas, but nobody's looking at that. I don't really care too much about that area. I'm more concerned to make sure that the zap code is in the green area and people can read it. So now that I'm done, I'm going to go ahead and click on Use Tracking. And there we go. So now if I wanted to preview it, I can. It is, however, processing. My tracking code is ready to go. I have one scene one here on the left. I have a couple of options here on the right, and then the attributes are down here at the bottom. They call it properties. So for example, let's say I want to bring in an image. I'm going to click on Image, and I already have a couple of images that I've uploaded before. So if I'd like to, I can just upload an image here, but I can click on this little screen and it will show up. Just like any type of program, you can minimize it and scoot it around. Now I can click on Preview, and what Preview will do is you can now scan this, and it will show you this little button. Now, unfortunately, I can't really demonstrate this because I don't have a video showing my monitor, or I would have to have a camera that shows a phone that goes into here. So unfortunately, I can't show you guys right now without like dropping two phones, but hopefully you guys can go ahead and scan this using Zapar, and you'll be able to take a look at some of the stuff. My scene is ready to go. I am going to click on Publish, and of course it is now ready to go, and my scene is now live. So now that I have this scene set up, I am ready to go into After Effects to create an animation. Now, before I import my PSD into After Effects, it's really important to think about what do you want the animation to happen. So for example, do I want this little sphere to, scale and shrink away? Do I want my my code to disappear? Right? So there's a couple of options, and what I would recommend is to try to minimize your text, your layers, as little as possible, because everything is going to become a layer in After Effects. So for example, do you want this white layer to be animated, for example? So, and also labeling. Label is going to be really important. So I'm going to go ahead and type in white BG, and then this is going to be my red BG, and I'm going to take my zap code here and bring it above Monica here, and then do a Control E, which is going to, or select these two and do a Control E, which will merge them together, because I don't want the zap code to go away without my name. And think about how you want the animation to happen. Do you want these guys to land in the middle together? Do you want one to start and the other one to follow? So those are the type of things you need to consider as you're animating, and then get rid of anything that you're not using. You're trying to simplify this as much as possible so that when you start animating, there's not so many layers to animate. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and save as. I'm just going to add a 2 next to it. I'm always very intimidated about deleting anything, so I always save iterations. And let's go into After Effects. All right, powerful After Effects. So to import something, you can grab your PSD file and just drag it into After Effects, or you can always go to File, Import. And the biggest thing to make sure is that this pull-down menu is in composition and not in footage. And then make sure that this says Editable Layers Styles. I almost said edible, but editable. So that's much more important, not to eat it. And if I open up these folders, you'll notice that all of my layers are here. And if I double click on this composition, I now have a composition with all of my layers. So I have my little cartoon me, I have my 3D tutorials for all, so on and so forth. Now notice that this has been zoomed in a great deal, 182, 100% is the actual scale. And that's because this is the size of a business card. Now, when someone scans it, I'm assuming they're going to be using a phone. Now, if they use an iPad, then the quality is going to, degrade just because it's so small. Or if you're somehow managing it to scan it on your television, then it's going to be even worse. But for me, I'm just imagining that people, when I hand them my business card and they have a phone, and then they can scan it. If you wanted something more high quality, for example, for an iPad, then I would recommend that you go back into Photoshop and make sure that you start off with a large file, maybe an HD like 1024, and then make your business card that size, that scale. Okay. So I'm going to just animate this really simple. So the world of After Effects, in case you've never been in here before, here's the menu. We have some tools. These are our project files. Over here is our timeline. These bars represent time. This is like, I can drag this around. Over here to the right, we have tools, more tools. There's a bunch of options here, but I'm really just going to be doing the basics, which is basically animating these things. So for example, we're going to start off with little me. I'm going to move my timeline further ahead. Now this is in frames. If you notice over here to the left, this is in seconds. So it depends how long you want this to go. So for example, maybe I just want to hold this for a second before the animation starts. So if I open this up, this little triangle over here to the left, and then if I open up transforms, I have position, scale, rotation, and opacity, and notice that there is this little stopwatch. That little stopwatch is what's going to start the animation. So for example, I'm going to say that I want to start my animation here. So I'm going to click on this little stopwatch, and then you'll notice that there's a little diamond. The diamond stands for a keyframe. So then I'm going to move forward about, and again, I'm looking at my timer over here, about maybe 1.5 seconds, something like this. We'll see about timing in a second. And what I want to do is move it and then move it up like so. But I also want to scale it. So I need to go back. I noticed that when I moved it, the keyframe was created exactly where this timer was. So I'm going to move this bar back to where it was located here. And I'm going to turn on scale as well because I want it to scale. And I'm trying to keep an eye on this to make sure it's on the same timeline or the same time. And then I'm going to reduce it. I notice that the position has moved, right? Because the little anchor point is to the corner. So I'm just going to go ahead and place it. Now you can grab this and move it yourself as well. So feel free to do that. But the result is I'm going to get something like this. Now hit spacebar and you'll see the timing. And it's kind of slow. Spacebar. Now the reality is that I don't want to bore people, so I'm going to grab these keyframes, and if you want something to go faster, you bring the keyframes closer together. So that's looking a little better. I don't know. I feel like it needs to go faster. Something like that. Now I'm going to select this, and there's this thing called, if you right click, go to Keyframe Assistant and choose Easy In. Or if you want to press F9, it will create this keys. And it's just going to be a little bit more organic. So it kind of accelerates and decelerates faster instead of a straight line. It just kind of accelerates and decelerates, which is, it looks a little bit more organic. All right, so now that I have that, the next thing I want to do is maybe get 3D tutorials here and just kind of whoosh, move it to the side. But I also want Academic Phoenix to go to the same thing. So I could select both of these and then animate them at the same time, but there's something really fancy about After Effects. If you take a look at 3D tutorials on, for all here, and then you keep moving down, you'll notice that there's this little, what they call it, a parent pick whip. And what it means is that if I take this little tail, this little pick whip, and drag it into Academic Phoenix, if I grab Academic Phoenix and move it, 3D tutorials would follow. And that's why it's called a parent, that the 3D tutorials is the child to the parent, and the parent is the website. So what that means is that wherever the parent goes, the child goes with it. That's basically the idea. That means I only have to animate one thing. I can open this up, or if you guys want to get fancy, just click on the letter P on your keyboard and that will open up your position. So now I got to figure out the timing. Do I want the timing for the animation to start as this thing's getting smaller, or do I want to wait and then move it on? I'm all about keeping things engaging, so I might start the animation here. Nothing's set in stone, so keep that in mind. I'm going to click a position keyframe right here. Then I'm going to move forward. Then I'm going to move it to, whoops, wrong way. Move it to the side. Like that. So let's see what that looks like. Press spacebar. A little slow. Let me move that. And I feel like the timing's off, so I'm going to grab these keyframes and then move them to the left. Because I'm trying to get things to look kind of fun and work at the same time. Now, just like before, I'm going to hit F9. But unfortunately, that doesn't work when I have Camtasia recording. So I'm going to right-click, Keyframe Assistant, Easy In. And let's see if that, how does that change the animation? Whee! Okay, so I'm starting to like that. So now that I have this animation, I'm going to click on Motion Blur. Motion Blur means that it's going to make, instead of every single keyframe being perfectly clean, I'm going to turn Motion Blur, which is going to fake movement. Like it's going to give you like a whoosh. It's going to give you a blur so that it blends a little bit better and it's easier to see. The human eye prefers motion blur. So we're going to click on this, which is going to make the words blur. Now take a look at how it changes. It just looks a lot cleaner than what it was before. A lot more natural. Now, if you wanted to, you can do the same thing for Little Cartoon Me. And you can also even do it for 3D tutorials for all. So they're all have motion blur. It's not as noticeable for Little Me, but it is noticeable for 3D tutorials for all and also the website. Cool. So now that this is moved, now I'm going to grab my Monica up here and also my Academic Phoenix Plus. Now, same story for this one. I don't really want to move one without the other. So I am going to take the little pickwick and drag it into Academic Phoenix Plus. So wherever Monica goes, Academic Phoenix Plus is going to go with it. So now that everything's been cleared, whoop, I'm going to go ahead and click on P for the position. Click on a keyframe, and I might scale it. So let's go ahead and do a Shift S, which will open up position and scale. And then click on that little stopwatch. So again, I have my little keyframes. Move forward and go ahead and place wherever you want. So notice that I moved it and Academic Phoenix Plus didn't go, but I bet if I move Academic Phoenix Plus, it will go. So I accidentally pickwicked the wrong one. So that's not a big deal. I can always go to none. So over here, it shows you the parent link. I can just go to none. And then for this one, I can pickwick it to AC Plus. So now if I grab this one, it will all go together. I'm going to go ahead, scale, hold down Shift if you want to keep the transition. And maybe place it right next to each other like so. And then we can take a look at the animation. Hit spacebar. Whew, that's slow. All right, so my timing needs to be a little faster, and I might want to move this a little closer so everything flows a little better. That's not bad. And then like before, go ahead and plug in that Easy Ease. And if you want, motion blur. Let's see, maybe I can get the animation started a little bit earlier. Maybe, let's see what happens if I make it really fast. Too fast. So it's all about timing. I'm just kind of exploring how I can get this to look, with accurate time. Like I want people to be able to absorb that and see the animation. Okay, cool. That works for me. So next I want the little buttons to show up. So the idea behind this concept is that this is my business card. By the time this animation is done, it will look like the interactive elements of AR. So what I wanted to have is 3 elements in my interactive business card. I want mail, so you can email me. I want my website, and then also some extra information. I already have some icons set up, so I'm just going to go ahead and bring them in. All right, so here are my icons. I'm going to collapse this and back to my icons, drag these in here. Once they're imported, you're more than welcome to bring these in here. And they're huge. So again, hold down Shift, otherwise you're going to warp them. Hold down Shift and that will keep them the same scale and just go like this. So I'm going to move one at a time. Here's my email. Whoops, you have to let go. Grab your email, move it to the side, grab your play icon, move it to the side, and there's the website. So one's going to take me to the website or more information. One's going to go to my YouTube videos, and then one's going to go to my email in case anybody's interested in using that and emailing me directly. Now, this is going to get a little busy with all of these layers. So what I'm going to do is select all of my items except for my backgrounds. I don't want them to be influenced. I'm going to right click and then say pre-compose. And this is going to be my animated elements. Make sure this says move all attributes into the new composition and click OK. So again, this just kind of helps clean things up a little bit for me. The elements are still working, as you can see, but I just want to make sure that I don't have so many layers as I start working on this. All right, so now that I have this, I need to make sure these are aligned, which clearly they are not. So I'm going to go ahead and grab all of these together, and I'm going to grab all three, and I feel like they're kind of big, so I'm going to go ahead and scale them down a little bit. And over here to the right, we have something called align. And if I click on this one, it will center all of them in one line, which is really nice. Then I can also center this way so that all of them are aligned evenly spaced. Now I want these guys to appear. So I'm going to scroll these down and I'm going to hit P for position. Notice that all three of them are selected so the position shows up. And what I want is for them to start coming up as my name ends. So if I want to, I can put a keyframe around here. So again, I have all layers selected. I'm going to click on the keyframe. Then I'm going to move this forward and I'm going to make them rise. Might be a little high, so I'm going to bring them lower like so. Just a little bit. So now when I press play, take a look at the timing. I feel like these guys can start a little later, so I'm going to grab that starting icon, and maybe these guys can move a little bit as well. And I think I moved this one too far. There we go. There we go. That looks kind of nice. A little too even for me, so a little fun trick about After Effects is that these bars, I can get the website to go first. If I take this and just kind of drag the bar a little bit, it will start the animation later, and then I'm going to grab the email one and also start a little later, so the results are something like this. Now again, I can select these, click on the letter P just to see if they're evenly spaced, which doesn't feel like they are. So I'm going to try to eyeball it to get them to kind of look at around the same. And boop, boop, boop. And if I feel it's too slow, again, I can just kind of grab these keyframes and bring them closer together. Don't forget to easy in. Let it wait, and let's watch the animation again. There you go. That looks pretty good. I'm going to take this bar right here and drag it so that it ends around here, which is the last, maybe a little bit afterwards. And don't forget to save. All right, we are ready to export this and bring this into ZapWorks. So let's go to File. I like to use Encoder. So File, Export, Add to Adobe Media Encoder. Just wait a second and it will pop up here on the right. All right, I like H.264. I'm going to keep it at a medium rate. This is where it's going to save, so make sure you know exactly where it's going to land. I'm going to call this business card, or you can even say BC underscore AR. And then I like to say animation just because, you know, I have a million files, so I might as well label it what I know. Press play. This should render relatively fast because this is not a very long animation. There it goes. Quick little preview. Done. Super fast. Let's take a look. It's huge, but let's press play. Let's actually scale it down. Let's make it smaller because the animation is going to be like this. So now we can press play again. Whee. Cute. Perfect. Now that we have all of our elements, the next part is going to be putting it all in ZapWorks so that we can make an AR video. We'll do that in the next video. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying this quick introduction to After Effects, some Photoshop, and also some ZapWorks Designer. So it's a lot of fun things, taking all these elements together to create a really cool modern product. So I will see you next time when we import everything into ZapWorks. And if you find this interesting, please like and share. I would really appreciate that. I'm trying to create some new videos for you guys to kind of follow along so that you can get entertained and try some new things. If you want more of this, please let me know by leaving a comment before. And of course, share my videos if you feel that this would be helpful for anybody out there. So again, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you next time.